Hi guys, it's Spartan765. Today I'm going to finish up that video on the assembly of the Winchester 1200 or Winchester 1300. They're both the same basically. Today I'm going to start out, or anyway if I can get past just getting the bolt assembled in this video, because I can only do 10 minutes of video before YouTube won't let me put a longer one on. I'm going to get right to just reassembling the bolt. First thing you want to do when reassembling the bolt is obviously a Winchester bolt is a rotating bolt. Stick the bolt body, or I don't know really what this is called, stick the rotating piece, I guess, back inside of the bolt body. Then this is a very important thing you want to remember. This is the extractor. This little piece, just make sure you just set this back inside in the bolt like this. Okay? Then take your spring. I like to have the bolt body in here because then the extractor won't just fall out. Just take your spring, just drop it in there like that. Next, take this little washer, put that in there. Got to make sure it's flat, so you might have to jiggle it around a little bit. This part's the hard part. Take a screwdriver. I recommend a Phillips. You got to make sure you'll be able to jam the pin in there. So naturally your bolt's going to have to be halfway open. Take the screwdriver, set the pin. Actually, first take the pin. Just set that in there like so. Okay. Take your screwdriver. Just set this in. Push with the screwdriver as hard as you can until the pin goes down. And you're fine. Pin's in. Now to get the pin in the rest of the way, see the pin? Just take your screwdriver, make sure it's in the center position. It goes in easier when it's in the center, but when you set it, you can have it all the way back, so you can go like that. Now to set the pin in, just take your bottom of a plastic handled screwdriver and just kind of tap it in there. Naturally, it's going to be kind of hard because it's normal. Tap it in there until it'll eventually make a click. And you know you're right. Your bolt should move freely back and forth. If it doesn't, your pin's too tight. Just tap it out a little bit. But generally they usually go in right the first time. Then your next step, and obviously this is another thing I forgot to mention. It's just something I'm so used to doing. You've got to make sure this rotating piece is in the right way, because if you have it twisted the other way, the extractor is going to be on the wrong side. So you always want the on a bolt, there's the smooth face. You want the extractor same way as the smooth face. This is smooth face, that's the rough. You want the extractor the smooth face way. Next thing you want to do, take your firing spring, put it on the firing pin, then take the bolt, put it in, just slip it right in there. Oh, I forgot to mention. In here, if your pin isn't exactly aligned, take your firing pin, just look down the hole, and just kind of wedge it in there like this. It'll twist around pretty easily. Just get her in there nice and good. May take a little bit of realigning, but it'll go. Just kind of give it a little wiggle. It will eventually flow freely. You just gotta make sure it's set right. Because if you push this in here and this doesn't fall out, it's too tight. Next step is obviously make sure again that this is good. Take your firing spring, stick that assembly in there, like so. Okay. Then make with your thumb depressing it to make sure it's going to stay. Put the plate back on, like so. Then take your screw, put it back in, twist it, snug it up. You don't need a wrench on it, just make sure it's tight so it's not going to come off. Just snug it up. Sorry if you guys can't see this, I can't zoom the camera. You guys will be able to see it though. If you got any questions, just send me a message and I'll do a detailed video on it. See, your bolt should be able to move freely like that, nice and smooth. To make sure your firing pin goes through, to press the bolt all the way, push on the firing pin at the back of your thumb. Firing pin protrudes, it's correctly assembled. Okay, now we're going to reassemble the shotgun. First thing to do, obviously, let me move this out of the way, and do it in reverse order. Drop the bolt in, reverse order from when you assembled it. Take this piece, make sure the part that's bent out, or that's spring, looks like that, is facing out, like this, towards the opening. And this little cut here goes in first, or this little slot right there goes in first. Just push that in. There's a little groove in the bolt that should slide in. Then it'll hit something. This is where you just need to take your fingernail, and if you remember from the disassembly, you need to push it over this little pin inside here, but make sure you put the spring in first. You can either put the spring in after you get this just pushed past the bolt, or you can put it in right away. Personally, it doesn't really matter. I do it different ways. Now, get that little, there's a little part of this where it goes into the spring. Get that in the spring, and just take your finger on one end of this over here. As you can see, it takes a little bit of working, but it'll go in. Now you just gotta kind of maneuver it on. I recommend just, giving it a good push on it, and it clicks in just like that. Now, if you have a bent pin in here, send me a message and I will show you how to repair that bent pin. Don't try to bang it back. Just send me a message and I'll show you how to repair that pin, because that can cause problems if that's bent. Now, next step is putting the slide back on. This is the Winchester 1200. It goes on the same way. Just take the slide it over. Oh, I forgot to go over one thing in the disassembly. How to get the mag spring out. Just take a screwdriver, pry at this, push this plug down in here, pry these, this comes right out. You can clean your mag spring out, but that's pretty basic. I don't think anybody would not know how to do that. After just that little bit of information, that should be pretty easy. Then again, take your fingers, just kind of lift the cocking arms up. It's kind of a challenge, but the further back the bolt is, the easier it tends to get. Usually, one will go first. Put it about in the middle. The further up the bolt starts to get, the easier it is. But just put it in the middle and slide it back. It'll click into place automatically. Should slide freely. Next step is with the bolt forward. Just enough so it would be normal. Recock, obviously. Recock that. You put it in, decocked won't work. Just drop this in like that. Your bolt has to be forward to put that in. Then take your pin. Make sure the holes are lined up. Which obviously will go in with a little bit of a resistance. Never use hammers in firearms unless you're modifying. Just to disassemble, reassemble, just use the butt of a screwdriver so you don't go too abrasive. Then, to put the barrel back on, you need to bolt the head obviously. Just should slip right back in there. Like so. And then, it's kind of hard to do in the video, but just twist on your barrel bolt. Make that on tight there. Give it a test pump. Make sure the feeder works and everything. Works good. Drop test. Passes the drop test. There's your fully assembled Winchester. Part 765 out.